Some of the other things I want to talk to you about have to do with supplements, have to do with, you see stuff that is like a one a day, here's this little pill, and then somebody else gives me a box of here's what you take for the next 30 days, or, 30-day boxes that have 8 little pills in it. I take this box, go down to see my doctor, he says to me, oh, but you know what, you need more CoQ10. What's reality?
Well, first of all, I don't think your box of supplements should weigh more than you do. So I think to take, 275 are probably not necessary. But I will say that depending on your age, supplements are very helpful. Let me give you some guidelines. Let's just say you're a young woman and you might get pregnant at some point in time. Well, that person should be taking folic acid. That should be part of what they take, and you can get enough in a regular multiple vitamin. Let's just say that you're the average adult. I think that people should be taking on a routine basis a multivitamin that does have the folic acid, the B vitamins, and also that has calcium in it. And I think that calcium is a very important mineral because the bones that we have, that we keep ourselves sitting up straight and keep us strong, are actually mostly formed by the time we finish high school. In other words, by the time you get out of high school, 85% of your bones are already formed. You've got about 85% of the calcium you're ever going to get. By the time you're 30 or so, you've got your full calcium savings account. So you're only going to take out of that account from that point on. So calcium is good, and don't forget that men have hip fractures just like women. They have them about 10 years later, and about 1/3 of hip fractures occur in men. So it's not just the ladies that need to take calcium. And I think depending on other things that you have, I think if I were going to get one, so to answer your question, I would take a multivitamin throughout life, including childhood. I would take calcium beginning in childhood because that's when the bones are forming, and I would continue taking that. And then other things that I think can be helpful would be omega-3s, or fish oil is a very helpful one. And then beyond that, take specific things depending on what your needs are.
And is there a blood test that'll tell me that I'm deficient in vitamin D or vitamin E or calcium? How do you make that determination?
Well, you just made a very important point. Vitamin D may be the biggest thing that's not being taken. Right now, I can't tell you how many patients that I see have low vitamin D, particularly those up in the Northeast where the lights are low during the wintertime. But vitamin D is actually a hormone. It's an essential vitamin, but it's really a hormone, acts like a hormone. And here's what it does for you. First of all, it's essential for your bones to stay strong. You've got to have it. But now they've linked a low vitamin D to heart failure. They've linked a low vitamin D to a higher risk of breast cancer, and there are a whole host of other things that low vitamin D contributes to, and that's just a blood test. So I would say vitamin D is one of those tests that should be measured at least at 45 and beyond, but potentially as part of an annual exam because it's so simple to fix. You can also measure B vitamins. You can measure most everything in the blood.
So when I go in for my wellness checkup, so every year insurance company, says I'm covered for a wellness checkup. Do I ask the doctor, or does the doctor tell me? Do I look for whether or not, do I say, are you checking for vitamin D? How do I know?
Well, that's a question that's fair to ask. I really think that when you go in for your doctor's visit, it is wise of you to take a list of all the questions you want to ask, because they say that most people get forgetful when they're sitting around with no clothes on. And I think that the best thing you can do is go in with a list and have the things that you really want to know about in front of you, because the doctor's office visit, let's face it, it has gotten shorter. And the only way to be efficient and to get that stuff out is to have it written down. And I would go even further to say that if you're a really nervous Nellie and you're somebody who's very uncomfortable in the doctor's office, bring a trusted friend or family member. Come with someone who's an extra set of ears. They don't have to be there during the exam, but have them be with you so that when you are there, you're actually having another person, when you're nervous, recording, because they've done studies, they've recorded doctors' conversations with patients, and the doctor will say stuff, and the patient will swear that they never said that, and about 10% is about the retention that they get.
Is there a standard checklist that you and I can develop that I can post on the website for our clients and friends to look at it, to download, to say, here's a guideline, this is what you can ask your doctor when you come in?
Sure, I think that it is, realizing that every individual could have a variation, but absolutely there are things that we could do, absolutely.
So we'll talk about that after the show.
Okay.